going to show you how to change out a Dometic series. This is a Dometic 300 series toilet valve. These valves, this lasted basically 1 year of good use. I mean, we were in here full time pretty much for about 9 months, 25,000 miles, so quite a bit. So we'll go through it here. So first things first is make sure you shut off your water supply. Otherwise you're going to have high pressure water leaking here. You don't want it going under the wall. You don't want it going under the toilet. So make sure you take care of that. So the second thing you're going to be doing after you do your low drain outside, you can find that most RVs do have a low drain. I'm going to go ahead and take off your water supply. There's your water supply. Now I know this looks like it came out already, and I'll tell you what I did. There is a screw, okay, and there is the screw right there. And I used a driver from like a driver set for like a power screwdriver. And there is a screw that fits in kind of like at this lower edge over on this other side, so opposite of where we're at over here. Okay, it was very loose. It was pretty easy to get out, so just realize that that's there. Okay, this next thing I did is I had to get this off. This is a PEX crimp connector on the water line, and I'm going to show you how I got that off so you guys know how to do that. I very simply took a screwdriver and I put it under I got it in here and I wiggled it side to side and it did come loose. Okay, so I was able to get that. I'm going to take the old valve out here. Okay, once I got the old valve out, I was able to slip that ring off. Now, the next thing I did is I took a pair of scissors and I went ahead and took off the old end of the hose. So I did cut that. Good pair of scissors should do it. This is pretty easy plastic line, so shouldn't be a problem. Okay, so the next, first of all, the clamp that comes with this is like a standard like O-ring clamp. I don't mind using it. I could go and get a PEX 1/2 inch. I do have a PEX tool, but I'll go ahead and use this. I feel okay because this is not a high pressure application. This is just providing water up to the squirter, up in the toilet itself, in the bowl itself. But what I am going to do, so I have put on some RTV silicone sealant on this. Here's the orientation like this. I'm going to go ahead and slide this in. Nice connection. And then I will go ahead and slide this down. I am using a regular screwdriver on this. Some of these pipe clamps do work. So all right, so I'm going to tighten this, but I'm not going to tighten it. We don't want to over tighten. That's one thing that's real important. So just like two finger tight on that. Okay, next thing, we're going to go ahead and slide it into here, and then we should be able to pop it in, and there it is. Okay, it is snapped in. And I'm going to take my screw and I'm going to put it back in the same place I took it out, which is on the other side of the valve. It does not have to be really tight. Okay, it's going in nicely. And I'm just going to go kind of just generally finger tight there. Okay. Now we're going to make sure that you don't double thread this, okay? Very important that you're very careful about the orientation of how those threads go on. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. Okay, I can see it's threading. It's threading nice and easy. I'm not having to put a lot of pressure. Okay, so once I feel this start to bite down, feels pretty good. I'm just going to go basically like 2 or 3 finger tight. They will strip, so be very careful. I'm going to give this a quick test. Feels good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and run outside. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to run outside, and I'm going to close the load drains, and we'll give this a test. Make sure it doesn't leak. Okay, I went outside. I went ahead and closed those low point drains, and I'm going to actually run the sink here real quick. So we can hear that running, hear the pump running. I am on the internal pump, not the pressure outside. Okay, looks good up here in the sink. And I'm going to go ahead, make sure we don't have any water in here, pull out my towel, my catch towel. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to feel under here, feeling for any wet. This is where the leak was coming from, right in here. That's because the leaky part of this valve happens to be, it's not the plumbing attachment, which you would think. It's not back here. It wasn't up here. It was actually back here. There's an O-ring, and I think that O-ring tends to fail. Give those a bunch of tests. Good. I feel no water, so we have a job well done. I'm going to also mention these Dometic 300 series toilets have issues. These have a defective issue where they like to leak on the in-between, and this bowl actually fills up and it gets real stinky up in the top of the bowl. So be aware. I'll put a link to that video, to my other video, in the description here, so you guys can reference that if you're having a stinky problem with these toilets. You shouldn't smell anything on them. Okay, one last little leak check. Feels good. I don't feel anything on this pipe that tell me that I had a leak. Nothing here. There's wet silicone, so I don't want to get that on my fingers, but I'm looking. All right, looks good. Good job.